Neon, also called Neon, was an extremely dynamic format. With a few exceptions, metagame balance was seemingly restored, with most archetypes having solid counters and the number of usable decks increased significantly from Rocket on. The format shift rotated out all the cards from Rocket, Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge, and Black Star promos numbered 1 through 19. This is a fact I didn't realize until I was reviewing the official parameters of Neon, so make sure that if you're using Black Star promos, that they are numbered 20 or higher. Neon was a relatively short-lived rotation, running for less than a year, from 2002 to 2003. Initially, Neon included Neo Genesis, Neo Discovery, Neo Revelation, and Neo Destiny, as well as the Southern Island set, Legendary Collection, and Black Star promos 20 through 49. So really only 5 full sets to pull from. And these were the sets allowed during the 2002 World Championships, which was a strange reflection on how Rocket On had ended. Feraligatr was the dominant deck, with a mistranslated Slowking making its way into almost every single top cut deck. It was such an annoyance and such a dominating card that it was actually banned directly after the 2002 World Championships ended. So let's take a closer look at those placements. With the information available, we know that in the Seniors Division, Dark Feraligatr decks took first place, as helmed by Dylan Austin, and 8th place, as helmed by Brian Goethe. Second place was taken by Bonham Bryson with an Espeon Umbreon build, and 4th place went to Nico Ruelos, who was running a Kingdra Center Steelix deck list. All of these decks could function independently from Slowking, but it was such a hindrance to other decks that any deck that didn't run it was at a huge instant disadvantage. Slowking could not only nullify trainers that your opponent played, but it would also place that trainer back on the top of their deck, so that when they got their free draw on their next turn, they weren't getting any new cards, they were just getting the same card that flopped last time. For the Juniors Division, which is players 10 and under, Robert Heffrey actually took 4th place with Entei Cargo, which was a very risky move considering how many Dark Gator decks there were. 3rd place was taken by Brian Cresswell with a Dark Gator deck. 2nd place went to Kingdra Center and Steelix. And 1st place was taken by Donphan Baby Porter, a deck that I always call Baby Spinner, helmed by Mindy Lamp. As you can see, even with the nuisance of a mistranslated Slowking, there was still quite a bit of variety in Top Cut, especially compared to the previous year's showing, which was pretty much all Riptide Feraligatr. Between the World Championships in August of 2002 and the final Wizards of the Coast event of the format in 2003, Neo-On expanded from Genesis to Legendary to Genesis to Skyridge, opening up the variation and possibilities greatly, adding in cards from Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge, the Best of Game promos, and Black Star promos 50 through 53. Dark Feraligatr fell sharply in usage as the addition of supporter cards also lowered the relevance and need of baby Pokemon. However, the Genesis Skyridge portion of Neo-On was extremely short-lived, as Wizards of the Coast had lost their licensing agreement, leading to the rushed limited releases of the e-reader sets and distribution rights to the Pokémon TCG in North America transferring to Pokémon USA. Pokémon USA would then release EX Ruby and Sapphire only 5 weeks after the Wizards of the Coast release of Skyridge. This ended the Wizards of the Coast era of the TCG, as well as the Neo-On format, which only gave players 1 month to use Skyridge cards competitively and only 1 official event where those cards were legal. This was a huge power move by Pokémon USA, as it pushed away memory of the Wizard release sets quickly and efficiently, ushering in the EX era under new management. This bold, aggressive play was partly because of the disputes between Wizards and the Pokémon Company, and probably would have happened anyway, as the Pokémon Company was beginning to consolidate into the Pokémon Company International in order to streamline coordinated worldwide releases and localizations. So if you want more information on the details of how the split between Wizards and the Pokémon Company actually happened, I have a whole video dedicated to that, so check that one out. In 2003, Wizards had 2 major events, although the tournament data for both of them is pretty limited. The Professor's Cup, held specifically for registered Pokemon professors to play one another, resulted in a Doombuzz champion and a Metal Zapdos runner-up. two decks heavily influenced by reprints of base set cards from Legendary Collection and the Best of Game promos. Gen Con 2003 famously resulted in Jason Klaczynski becoming the world champion with his expertly tailored SMF deck. I won't be fully revealing any top deck lists for Neon, as I do want to preserve a little bit of mystery for those who are unfamiliar with the format, so I'll save the juicy tidbits for those dedicated deck list videos coming up. As I said earlier, the metagame itself was fairly balanced, with all major archetypes having an adequate counter. In the Pokemon rock, paper, scissors fashion, Gator decks were weak to Meganium, Meganium was weak to Magcargo, and Magcargo was weak to Gator. But that is a balance at its simplest level. Deck variety also included returning strategies like Mill, which saw significant play. Trainer Lock and hand control decks were back in a big way, given how prominent Slowking was. But even after Slowking was banned, Noctowl and Dark Scissor were solid go-tos. Trainer Locking was fantastically proactive in sabotaging your opponent's strategy in a format where trainers and supporter cards were more important than ever. Specific techs became a huge part of the metagame as players attempted to counter the counters of their deck. Mantime would be teched in as a fire type counter, Flareon for steel and grass types, Sudowoodo or Hitmonchan for those big normals. Dark Gengar became pretty popular for its ability to KO benched Grimers and babies without having to flip a coin. If you look back at Rocket-On, you'll see that the metagame was dominated by Steel, Dark, and Water type decks, and that was pretty much it. Everything else was a rogue deck. But Neo-On had top tier competitive decks with Fire, Grass, Water, Psychic, Steel, Fighting, Dark, and Normal types. Pretty much everything except Electric types was represented in the top tier decks. Babies were still meta relevant with less focus on Cleffa and more usage from Pichu, Magby, and Tyrogue. Baby usage overall shifted rapidly around the time of the 2002 World Championships, as one of the best ways to counter the dominant Dark Feraligatr was to just rely less on babies in your deck. This will carry on into e-reader play as well, as using Eek on your turn could potentially set your opponent up for the exact same advantage you just got if they had a copycat in hand. So finally, Cleffa was reduced or completely left out of a lot of decks, and people just ran instead 4 copies of Elm and 4 copies of Copycat. If you're interested in building a Neo-On trainer core, I would recommend full playsets of Professor Elm, Focus Band, Goldberry, Copycat, Town Volunteers, Scoop Up, Super Scoop Up, Pokemon Fan Club, Pokemon Trader, Fisherman, Juggler, and Pokemon Center, which was reprinted as a Black Star promo. These are all cards that you will be seeing a lot of in the Neon deck videos. I would also recommend obtaining a couple copies of Oracle, as it had an amazing combo with Bill, but it is the most expensive card of the e-reader supporters. Using Oracle and Bill in tandem would allow you essentially to get any 2 cards out of your deck and into your hand. For most decks would just give you your setup right then and there. It was setup wizardry. Bill and Bill's Teleporter were both used pretty widely, but varied from deck to deck depending on if you wanted maximum draw potential or if you just wanted consistent draw power. Pokemon Fan Club and Dual Ball became the go-to search cards for most decks that didn't want to bother using that Oracle Bill setup. Sneasel was banned from play at the very beginning of Neo-On, with Slowking getting banned only after the 2002 World Champions, where it majorly dampened competitive play. Some other key lost cards were Nightly Garbage Run, which was replaced by Time Capsule and then later by Town Volunteers. Black Star promo Eevee, but it was also replaced by the Neo Discovery Eevee in all Evolution decks. Black Star promo Mewtwo was sorely missed, but it didn't really have a solid replacement. Misty's Wrath and Trash Exchange getting rotated made Riptide way less abusive, and then we had to say goodbye to the Trapper cards, Chaos Gem, and Rocket Zapdos. Without Trapper and Chaos Gem, Disruption decks were kind of gone for the most part, and with Rocket Zapdos and Sneasel gone, Big Basics was no longer the supreme champion of the Pokemon TCG, allowing evolution decks to blossom without the need for Pokemon Breeder. Balance was not fully restored, however, as Wizards of the Coast fucked it up by reprinting Fossil Muck in Legendary Collection. I won't rant about it here, as I already dedicated an entire video to the absolute dickery of Legendary Collection, but I will discuss the incorrect rulings based around Muck. So, Wizards of the Coast implemented the Stack, which was a ruling from Magic the Gathering, which states that card effects are resolved in reverse order from how they were played. But the Pokémon TCG at this point did not have an order of effects, only active effects and the use once per turn type of effects. Muck's effect is an active effect, meaning that it is always active, and any applicable cards that are played after this effect begins are affected by Muck's Pokemon power. So incoming cards like Dark Crobat cannot activate their Pokemon powers because Muck's effect is already in play and prevents it. And Muck's effect can only be ended by the effect of other cards like Goop Gas Attack. This is the mistake that Wizards of the Coast made in their rulings, because they stated that the effects coming into play would not be affected by Muck because the newly played card needed to resolve first. The same kind of mistake was made with Magby's Sputter Attack, as Wizards ruled that any powers activated after Sputter would still be active. And this is clearly not correct, because Sputter is an effect on the playing field and not any specific card. So after Sputter is used, the correct ruling would be that no more powers can activate that turn, regardless of how they come into play, and all powers that were already active will cease to be active until the end of your next turn. So for all the videos I'll be posting for Neo on, I will be assuming the correct rulings behind Muck and Sputter, as those rulings were corrected by Pokemon USA as soon as they took over the gameplay. So the chaos created by the incorrect rulings made matters far worse than just Muck itself. For the preservation of balance and just overall positive gameplay, I go with the Pokemon USA rulings, but you're free to use the official Wizards of the Coast rulings whenever you play this format. I hope this video serves as a good primer to get you in the feel of the Neo On format, to get you in the right mindset. I know it takes a little bit to shift over from Rocket On or from base Neo, but look forward to all of the Neo On deck lists coming soon. I've got them all ready to go, just got to record those videos and get them uploaded. If you've got any Neon requests, go ahead and chuck those down in the comments, and I hope you enjoy the playlist. Laters!